to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey everyone, welcome to the program. We have one of my broadcast buddies from back in the day, my broadcast days in Boston, one of my favorite people on the sports talk radio scene, Rob Hardy Poole. Now, for our Boston area listeners and everything, they will know him from 98.5 The Sports Hub, in which he is one of the co-hosts of the morning show, Toucher and Hardy. But did you know what a golfer he was? He's on a short list of people that love golf almost more than anybody I know. He's just a fascinating person. He's been around the block, and I always enjoyed the times that we talked golf and bumped into each other at different sporting events around the Boston area. Rob Hardy Poole is our guest. Before we go any further, if you have not subscribed to the podcast, would you do so? Because we need your help with that. Would you like it? Would you leave some comments? That means a lot to our sponsors. And speaking to them, a big thanks to our title sponsors, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try a Party. Party is hands down the best golf drink, ready to go, canned cocktail to drink on the golf course. And if you don't have it at your golf course, contact your food and beverage manager and say, we got to get this stuff right here, and we'll get you all set up with that. For golfers by golfers, and it makes all the difference. And if your dream is to live on a golf course or in a golf course resort community like Lakewood National Golf Club, where this podcast originates from, nobody better than the golf real estate professionals of Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro from suncoastdreams.com, a division of Fine Properties. They can get you all set up. And oh, by the way, if you want to get Party served at your golf course or the golf course that you play, Paradise Craft Distributors is the distributor, the primary distributor of that in the state of Florida. All right, there he is.
Hey, what's going on, Kev?
Oh man, I miss you. I gotta tell you, when I think about my days in Boston and the people that I miss, you are you're right at the top of it, because not that I'm sucking up to you. You always had a good energy about yourself. You seem to just be happy to be alive. I'm not like divulging anything. I mean, you just had a nice spirit about you. Is that who you are?
I would say that's accurate. Yeah, for the most part, I'm happy to be here. What can I say? And whether it's work related, whether it's something with the family, I try and find a little bit of joy, contrary to how I come across on the air sometimes, which is, grumpy, old, curmudgeonly. I really do find a lot of joy in a lot of different places. So yeah, and I feel the same way about you, man. It's just good to hook up with people who just seem to enjoy things. Is it okay to like some things? I mean, there's
it's
a lot
more
of
than
things
okay.
I like. Yeah.
Hey, listen, and fake it till you can make it. I mean that in the best of ways. There were days where I smiled when it was tough to smile, because it just made me feel better, and I didn't want to drag anybody else down in the morass of it all, because I think that's unfair. And we all know who those people are that are grumpy, and they make everybody stay crappy, and it's totally unnecessary. Tell me something. Did you rush home to talk to me on this podcast? Did you cut short your daughter's prom pictures? What's going on?
No, I did not. I cut short the dinner afterward, which for all the things that I enjoy, and I think you enjoy too, Kev, one of the things I don't enjoy is sitting down for a long meal. I feel like it's oftentimes time wasted. If you're with some people, I feel like we could be doing something else, namely on the golf course. Now that's time well spent. But this is my daughter's second prom. She had her school's prom last week. The boy that she's dating, and despite my best efforts, I really like this kid. He took her to his prom, different school, and the prom is downtown. So the prom pictures are being taken on Boston Common in the public garden, on the bridge over the Swan Boat area. So all the parents met up there. We took all the pictures, and then my wife and a couple of her friends, they were going out to dinner, and I'd say, "Ooh, I'd love to join you, but I got to go home and talk to my buddy Kevin." So that was my excuse to leave.
I'm the out. I was the
You're the out. You're the out.
I'll take it. Hey, I love the background. I expect nothing less than a professional setup from a radio professional. But I want to go back to your daughter in two capacities. We'll get to the prom and the dating of a guy. But I read something that was very almost brought tears to my eyes. You talked about a round of golf that you played with your daughter on Thanksgiving Day. You want to take me back?
Yeah, I mean, it was, a long time ago. And no, I'm not going to get choked up about it or anything. But one of my favorite courses to play is George Wright Golf Course in Hyde Park, which, for people who aren't familiar with Boston, it's a neighborhood in Boston. And it's a great Donald Ross design. And, over the past, I would say 10 to 15 years, they have done so many improvements. It's just, it's a glorious track. Really, really good. Now, here's a secret that I don't tell many people. There is a way to play that course on Thanksgiving. I'm not going to give away everything, but it is with the full knowledge of the golf course and the club. And it is, technically a city park. It's a muni. So my daughter and I went out one Thanksgiving, and it was just one of those perfect New England Thanksgivings, about 35 degrees in the morning. Sun was shining, not a hint of wind. And we went out there, and I remember that was the first time on a golf course where she hit a shot that I could tell the tuning fork went off in her bones when she hit it. This tiny little cut down hybrid from a junior set, and she ripped one off the deck, and, it went flying straight down the fairway toward the hole. And she looked up and looked at me, and I said, "Yeah, you did it. That's what this game is all about." And, playing with kids, I think of any age, you play until it's fun. And for us that day, it was, 3-4 holes that we played, and then it was time to go home and stay out of the way of Thanksgiving dinner being prepared. But, yeah, that was one of my best memories on the golf course, just getting out there with my daughter, who was probably about, I don't know, maybe 10 years old at the time, just playing a few holes on a beautiful sunny Thanksgiving day. I loved it.
That's beautiful. I had a similar experience just a couple of days ago with my daughter, Samantha, who's 23, and we were just chipping balls, and she finally really flushed one, got it pure. And everybody, even if you don't know much, you know what pure is, and I could just see that look on her face. Yeah. So when I read what you wrote about the Thanksgiving thing with your daughter, it resonated with me. Speaking of her boyfriend, just being a dad of daughters and everything, were you a hard ass about, like, when she started bringing dates home? Were you the dad that ever gave the hairy eyeball, the alleged, I showed up to take a girl out and her father was cleaning a gun, which never happened. The people that tell that story, they're lying. It's never happened.
No. I mean,
what were you like?
My wife and I have been so blessed with both our kids, and our daughter is the oldest. And one of the reasons we've been blessed is that this is the first boy she's dated seriously. She's a senior in high school. So when she first brought him home to meet us and, did that official meeting, initially I'm very protective, and, it's your daughter. It's my oldest child and our first child. And this kid, I call him, because anyone under the age of 40 to me is a kid. This kid is so nice. And one thing you'll love about him, Kevin, he just started his summer job about 3 weeks ago. He is a caddy at the country club in Brookline. So, and he worked at George Wright the last summer or two, grounds crew, stuff like that. And he got a job looping over at the country club, and he's a really smart guy. And I can tell he's very respectful. And and takes care of my daughter, as much as, a fellow 18-year-old can. So no, I was not the cartoon version. And I agree with you, that, was, giving him the hairy eyeball and, holding the shotgun. I don't think that really happens either. It certainly didn't happen with me.
Yeah, and giving the hairy eyeball, it doesn't work. In fact, it could backfire on you. Good on you. And just the fact that he is surrounded, he's immersed in golf means good things.
Sure.
Not a lot of riffraff in golf. He's done the dirty work in golf, caddying, humble work, good work around solid people. If there's a better place to spend time as a young man than on a golf course, I don't know where it is, because it could.
Yeah.
It'll set you up for life.
I know. I don't know either. And the experience of caddying can teach you a lot about not only how to act around other people and how you should treat other people who are doing a service job for you, but maybe more importantly, how you don't want to act as an adult when you're in a position where people are doing service jobs for you. So I think it's great that he's doing it.
Well, I can tell you my caddy experience, the guys that I grew up with in suburban Philadelphia, they're all members at the club that we caddied at. So that by definition is a success story. And recently caddying at the country club and also at Wellesley Country Club in suburban Boston, a lot of the guys that I caddied with at Wellesley, they're all investment bankers right now because they align themselves with the members who were well-heeled people that saw, here's a young man that's doing it right. I'm going to help him out. But the bottom line is they had the respect, they had the integrity, they had the work ethic, and their life is ahead of them, and they're going to do great. Did you ever caddy, Rob?
I did. I started caddying. The only place I caddied was at the Birmingham Country Club, Birmingham, Michigan. I grew up outside Detroit in Troy, Michigan, and I was about 12 years old when I went through the caddy program. And man, I was too little, Kev. I really was. I mean, I was a late bloomer, and I was 5 feet tall, maybe, barely 100 pounds as a 12-year-old, probably not even. And out there lugging around those big bags. And I didn't get treated well at the beginning by the caddy master and by some of the older caddies. And, a couple of the members were okay, but it was, like I said, it was a learning experience. And it taught me from a very early age how I wanted to be treated and how I swore if I were ever in a position like that, how I would, treat other people, especially, young kids who were just trying to learn and just trying to do a job. And it was still a great experience. And it's something I'd like my son to do. Unfortunately, caddy programs are getting further and harder to find. But it's something I did for a summer or two. And every once in a while, I'll still offer to loop for a buddy who's playing in a real tournament, get on the bag for somebody who's trying to qualify for the Mass Open or something. I still like it. I mean, it's being out on the golf course. What's not to like?
Exactly right. Rob Poole, big radio guy in Boston, a big golfer, is our guest here on Party Time, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try Party. And if your dream is to live in a golf resort community like Lakewood National Golf Club, where this podcast originates from, Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro from suncoastdreams.com, a division of fine properties in the greater Sarasota area, they got you covered. So was caddying your ticket into golf, or did you start playing earlier than that? Tell me your entry into golf.
I think like a lot of people, my dad played and, just doing a lot of backyard golf as a kid, probably starting at about 10 years old. So I knew my way around a golf course a little bit before I started caddying. And there's a lot to learn when you go to caddy. It is different than just carrying your own clubs and walking around a 9-hole executive course, which is where I played as a kid. But that was it. Using, cut down clubs that my dad had, or using my mom's clubs because those were a little shorter and a little lighter. And that was how I started. And it's funny, Kevin, I still think about this from time to time if I'm on the course and I find myself, in trouble, which I often do. Either, coming out of the rough and with some overhanging limbs, or I've put myself in a really, bad position, short-sided, near the green. I think to myself, I try to anyway, I visualize it as a backyard shot. Like, okay, what's the danger here? Well, if you hit it too hard, instead of just running off the green, you're going to hit the house. Okay. So you don't want to hit it too hard. If if you chunk it, then you're not going to get it up onto the patio where you want to get it. And you try and, at least I do, when I remember to do it, I try and visualize that feel of a backyard shot. Like all I want to do is get this ball from here by the shed over to the tree line before it rolls down the hill. If I were in the backyard, what club would I use? And, what kind of shot would I hit? And it's remarkable. More often than not, it works. You just kind of revert back to the kids game. And I find that it helps me out on the golf course, just thinking about how would I do this if I were a kid, or even in my own backyard now, how would I play this shot? And it works.
Yeah, the mental imagery that we have going on in our head, or like what we might be saying to ourselves, whatever works, use it. I mean, the best example of that is Brad Faxon and the second putt theory. Like, when we miss a 6-footer and we rake it back and discuss and we say, F it, and then we roll the next one in like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Well, why does that work? Well, number one, we have the experience, but number two, we said, F it, and that frees us up mentally so we stay athletic. Well, he did that the first time, so he pretended it was the second putt. I mean, we could do that on all the shots, right?
I didn't know that Faxon had already kind of coined a term for it, but I was thinking about this a year or two ago, the second swing golfer, and I kind of developed my own pre-shot routine for this. And the reason why I don't do it anymore is it took too long. But setting up right near the ball, and instead of doing a practice swing, really focusing in on, if I were hitting the ball right now, this is the swing I would make. And if I'm I felt terrible. And you can tell from taking a practice swing, Kevin, if you were going to slice that one, if you were going to snap hook it, if you were going to chunk it, obviously, how would it have turned out? And I would say to myself, you idiot, that was dumb. And then I would step right up to the ball and say, why don't you just do this? Boom. And then hit that shot. And if the practice swing does go well, great. Just step up to the ball and do that one again. But there is something to that. The whole second swing golfer, the second putt golfer, and whether it's staying athletic or just abandoning care. There's great value, I think, in not caring. And when you can somehow channel that all the time, well, if you do it all the time, you'd probably be really, really good. I channel it some of the time, and those are the rounds where, I don't sit in the parking lot and cry for 15 minutes before I drive home.
I just tell a lot of my folks that I caddy for when they're having trouble with chipping, I'm like, do a drill, just step next to the ball, shave the grass twice, shave, now step up, shave one more time. So it's a drill. They're caught in the rhythm of it. They're not even thinking of the mechanics of it. There are a lot of different ways they can do it.
Yep.
How is your golf now? How much you playing, and where's the handicap? I want to know.
I'm perpetually stuck between that 11 and 14 range. I think I was an 11.8 to start the season. I'm at a 13.4 right now. Years ago, I got myself to a point where I can go out and play with just about anybody and not embarrass myself and not ruin their day. I have a neighbor who is a plus 2 point something, and he and I will play together pretty frequently, and I don't ruin his day. Now, sometimes he'll, actually I think I improve his day because he laughs at not just some of the shots that I make, but some of the decisions that I make. He says, which are just hysterically wrong. But I'm not saying I'm satisfied with that. I've always wanted to be a single digit of some kind, and I do think I'll get there, but it's going to require a little more dedication and practice. But hey, you know what? Good enough to win a couple of net tournaments here and there. I won the net club championship at our club last year.
What did that stop? What did that get you? $50 pro shop credit?
I think it was maybe $100 in pro shop credit. More importantly, it got me the parking spot for an entire calendar year.
That's worth it, there.
Yeah, from last August, up until if I do give up the title, I'll have it up until August of this year, and that's great. And I made myself a plaque that's behind me because they didn't even give me a plaque for the club championship. I had that made.
I'm going to get into what's behind you in just a moment. Rob Hardy Poole, Sports radio host Toucher and Hardy, 98.5, the Sports Hub in Boston, is our guest here on Party Time. What is the lowest round of golf you've ever shot? Take me there.
77, President's Golf Club, Quincy, Massachusetts. And I've had better rounds than that one, Kev. That's the lowest though. And that one, I did a couple of really lucky shots. I hold out an errant tee shot on a par 3, just a blind shot back up to the green, and it ended up going in the hole. Made a couple other, kind of really silly lucky shots that day. And I even double bogeyed the last hole and came in with a 77. That was my low round ever. It's not my best round or most. I could tell you the story of my best/worst round ever, which is much better than that one. Do you want that story?
Yeah. What is it? Did you have a good round going and then you pooped your pants?
Oh, you know the story. Okay.
No, I don't know. No, I don't. I guess. I figured it was that. No, I want to hear it now.
This was Club Championship 3 years ago. It was a 2-round stroke play. And I got one of the kids who worked in the bag room to caddy for me. I said, this is either going to be the greatest idea ever. It's going to look like the biggest hardo move of all time. But he had played his high school golf on this course at the club that I play. And he knew the greens really well, and we got along well. So we go out that day, and he's looping for me. And I went out, Kev. And again, I was probably at that time like a 12, maybe like a 12 even handicap. So you know what this means when I tell you I go out and go par, birdie, par, 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 par. I turn, I'm 1 under at the turn of the first round of the club championship. Never in my life have I busted 38 on the front, much less under par at the turn.
All right, so you're in a good groove, but the sphincter's tightening up?
I made my first bogey of the day on 10. It's a tough hole, and this is the gauntlet at our course at the Cape Club of Sharon. 10, 11, 12. Really starting on 9, but starting on 10. I make a bogey, I recover, and I make 3 more pars in a row. I'm standing on 14 tee box, even for the day. And people are talking about it. I'm not making this up. You know how the head pro will make the loops around the golf course. He's doing rulings for the club championship and this, that, and the other. And word is getting around. Anybody going low? Rob Poole is. Who? Hardy. He's going low. What is he? He's 1 under, or he's even through 10. He's even through 11. People can't believe it. The defending champion is playing in the group in front of me. He waits for me on 11 tee. He comes back to 10 green. He goes, hey man, keep it going. It's like he knows. I know. And I'm all business, and we're just taking it shot by shot by shot. And it wasn't lucky. It wasn't stupid. It was fairways, greens, 2 putts. Fairway, green, 2 putt. It was just, it was clinical. It was surgical.
Then what happened?
I left the drive out to the red on 14, got under the approach, got it on the green in 4, and 3 putted. I triple 14, recover with a bogey on 15, out of bounds with a tee shot on 16, out of bounds with the second shot on 17. I make doubles on both of those. I bogey 18. I limp in and shoot 80. Now, still, for me, 80 is a great score in competition.
Yes, but you're so close. It had to hurt.
What do you think? And what do you think I shot on day 2? 95. So my 4 9-hole scores for the tournament that year were 35, 45, 47, 48.
Oh man, the roller coaster of stuff. When you got a good round going, you're a little out of your comfort zone. You think, I got it under control, but like the brain kind of has a way of like getting you back to where you maybe should be.
Oh yeah. And you know what I changed? You know what I did differently?
No,
nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing maybe I can think about walking down the fairway of 14 after I'd left my drive a little out to the right, I thought to myself, I could double every hole on the way in and still beat the score that I wanted to shoot today. And that was the first time all day I thought about a score. And
yeah, that was the mistake. And then you just imploded from there.
Yeah.
I could tell, I think we've played maybe once or twice together, but just talking to you and the podcast, which I want to get into real briefly. You love golf.
Love it.
How big of an impact does it have on your life? And what would life be like for you without it?
I mean, impact wise, I think it gives me something, to do outside of work. It gives me something to aspire toward. It gives me, great friendships and relationships that I've built over the years with people that I would have never, come across otherwise. It gives me something to do with my wife and kids. They don't, play or love the game anywhere near to the extent that I do. But, whether it's just my son and I going to Topgolf, or my daughter and I getting out and playing a few holes, or my wife and I play, doing the 9 and wine. I absolutely love it. And, when the weather's right, there's literally no place I'd rather be than on the golf course, playing well, playing poorly. It doesn't matter, just, the next great shot is just around the corner. So, I wish I could say it's impacted me negatively in some way so that I could, balance this story, but I love the game. And, anytime I've spent either practicing it or actually playing it, or in this case, talking about it, I figure is time well spent.
Yes. You're playing golf, even though you're not playing. You're talking about it, thinking about it. It's like playing golf. And that's how I feel about caddying. I'm playing golf. I'm just not hitting the shots.
That's why I like doing it too. Just, every once in a while, if I get to loop for somebody who's trying to qualify for a tournament or something, I love being out there and just talking about the game and doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're immersed in it. Incredible background. I see the squirrel from the country club. You have the plaque that you made for yourself. All right. little pat on the back for you. Way to go. Right. What a setup. I mean, tell me what we got going on here. I got just a shelf with party cans. I mean, that's my jam.
Well,
and I got like a $75 microphone. You got like a $600 one.
Years ago, I decided that I wanted to work more from home. And, when I'm doing production and doing things for, the morning show on the Sports Hub in Boston, or I do satellite radio here from the house. We moved to this house about 7 years ago, and I built a dedicated studio here. So, I've got some of my golf stuff behind me from the 3 major championships that I've attended. And, the 4 majors, the Masters, the U.S. Open, the Open Championship, and of course the Cape Club of Sharon men's net championship from last year. Those are the 4 majors.
It's a lot smaller than the other ones. I mean, could you have made it a little bit bigger? Like,
it was out of my
redo on it.
It was out of my own pocket, man. I mean, $60 is $60. I'm not going to spend more than that on myself. I told my wife that's what I wanted for Christmas last year. And I said, I didn't get anything other than the parking spot and the email and all that stuff. I'd really like a plaque that, says, what I did. And you know what she said? She said, "You want a plaque for a net championship?" So,
I might have said the same thing. I didn't want to. It
was the biggest field. Yeah, there were like 35 guys in the net championship. I'm not playing with the real golfers down in the championship flight. No, it's all the hacks. I'm the king of the hacks.
Tell me about the podcast. You were one of the first to kind of do it like in a local form. You've done a great job. What were the original goals getting in, and how's it going?
Sports Hub Golf Club. And again, it didn't start as a podcast. It's podcasted now, of course, but I still approach it as a radio show that airs every week, Sunday mornings.
Right. Yeah. Started on the radio, and then now I keep on.
Masters weekend through Labor Day. And that's how it started 12 years ago now, maybe 13, where I just, convinced my bosses at the radio station that a weekly golf show would work. And at the time, management and upper management said, "Oh, golf shows don't work. Nobody listens to them." And I said, "Well, bury it on a Saturday or Sunday morning. It hopefully will bring in some advertisers that otherwise, wouldn't participate in this." And really, I didn't even care so much about that. I just wanted to do a show dedicated to the sport of golf on a sports station. And, it took off. Now, are people setting their alarms and getting up at 7:00 on a Sunday morning to listen to it live? I'd like to think so, but probably not. But, in terms of, the downloads and the people that react to it and talk to me about it, just, anecdotally, it's been a lot of fun to do over the years. I think a lot of people have got a chance to hear some things they ordinarily wouldn't hear on the radio. And, I'm just keeping it going as long as they'll let me do it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And like the 7:00 Sunday morning hour.
Yeah.
Guys are driving to to the golf course. I mean, it's a good warm-up act.
Guys driving to the golf course and the guys on the mowers. Yeah, I hear from a lot. I hear a lot of, I hear a lot from supers and guys working grounds crews that they listen to the golf show on Sunday mornings.
Tell me a good golf story. Just your go-to. It could be somebody famous or just something that always gets a laugh, or is like people are, wow, what is it?
I'll tell you one. It was from my time in Las Vegas at the tournament out there when we were watching John Daly, and everybody is hitting driver on this particular par 5, and taking a 3-wood for their second shot, and nobody's getting home. And we could see from our perch up on the hill that Daly had some kind of an iron in his hand for the second shot, and smokes it and puts it 6 feet from the hole. I mean, he's home and 2 on this par 5, and he's got an eagle putt that is, as long as I am tall. And remember, we're in Las Vegas, and this is John Daly. It's about 90 degrees, and he's wearing, he's got a full sleeve cover up. He's drinking his Mountain Dews. He's sucking down his M&Ms. Or he's drinking his Diet Cokes, I should say, his M&Ms. He's chain smoking, and you could tell he's rough. He probably hadn't been to bed. He's probably up playing the slots all night.
Yeah.
And he gets up to the putt, and I swear, Kev, it was one motion. He's got a dart going, and in one motion, everybody putts out. Everybody's done putting. They one putt. They clean up their putt, and he's last to go. And he puts his ball down in one motion, flicks the cigarette, stands on one foot, knocks in the eagle putt, and picks it up. It looked like he'd rather be holding a live rattlesnake than that putter over that eagle putt. And everyone is going like, "Great putt, John! Great putt, John! Woo, great eagle!" And I just knew it was the shot that he had hit on the green, his second shot, that was really the quality shot on that hole. So I waited until he walked past us, and I just said, "Shot, John." And he looked at me and he's like, "Thanks." Because I wanted him to know that I knew it wasn't the putt that he didn't even want to make. It was the 2-iron that he had ripped off the deck in the fairway, the shot before that he deserved credit for and probably wanted some recognition for.
I don't know. I think it's having a lit dart and then chucking it aside. For me, that's the good stuff. I mean, who can do that? The legend grows.
Right.
Hey, Rob, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. If you had one golf tip that you could give anybody that would help their game, what would it be?
Care less. We kind of touched on it earlier. Focusing on the practice and get good and take lessons and do all that stuff. But when you get out on the actual course, I really do find, Kevin, there's great value in not caring about the result. You just have to, it's a results oriented game, but when you get all caught up in yourself and the outcome and the number and all that stuff, that's when bad things happen. And I think there is great value in abandoning that part of it and, stop thinking about it as a competition with the guy you're playing with or playing against at the golf course. Just go out there and just, feel and do something that comes naturally to you. And I find that my best shots, my best scores come under those circumstances. Walking 9 holes by myself at 7:30 on a midsummer evening, or just playing with some friends where we're barely keeping score. That's where I'll hit my best shots. Why? Because I don't care. I don't care about the score. So I think care less is a great tip.
Yeah. You do care because you're there, but do that mental trick and you're good to go.
Right.
Rob Hardy Poole. Hey man, thanks for being my friend. Let's, if I'm in Boston, we got to tee it up, or if you're in Florida, vice versa. All right. Florida looks really good, like right around November through April. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Come on down. And thanks for all you do for golf with the podcast, with the radio show and the We Met Fund. Cause I know and next time we'll get into that as well. All right.
Sounds good, Kev. Great to talk to you.
Yeah. Always good to see you. Rob Hardy Poole, who is one of the radio stars at 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston, has been our guest here on Party Time. Big thanks to Party Drinks, title sponsor. If you are interested in having that at your golf course, tell them you got to get it. And a big thanks to the Golf Real Estate Pros of Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh from SuncoastStreams.com, a division of fine properties in the greater Sarasota area. For Rob Hardy Poole, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.